Hi, good morning. I want to update you guys with something that's coming on. Obviously, we know that it's Memorial Day on Monday. We got the Indianapolis 500 coming up, and I'm pulling for a couple of Italian drivers in there. I hope it doesn't make me a racist, but I love Mario Andretti, and I got to interview Rossi a few weeks ago when he was in New Orleans. But aside from Memorial Day and the races, it is a time where we honor our U.S. veterans, and in particular this year it's interesting because the mayor of New Orleans and the city council voted to remove 3 monuments to 3 amazing U.S. veterans, 2 heads of West Point and 1 Secretary of War. All 3 men distinguished themselves for 12 years as veterans of West Point in the Mexican-American War and other service in the United States. And then the Civil War broke out. So we've taken down their monuments. There's other monuments in New Orleans, and we really don't know what's going to happen there because we keep hearing we're removing monuments to Confederates. But that was wrong. We removed monuments that were valuable to outside museums, and those people happen to be Confederates, because more than half of their monuments remain in New Orleans to those people. And this is one of them, and this shows where we stand today and the need to work with the state legislature and our petitions to put in a recognized better form of policy on this. So what we have right here is a gentleman over there has been interesting because he's been yelling at me, he sees me here saying he wants a revolution, and that's the word that's been written on here, revolt. Up here, this is the remains of feces that was smeared in this marker. And this is the father, Abram, who was a priest in the Confederacy. It was put up in 1949 by the daughters of the Confederacy. These are women who lost their brothers, their fathers, their grandfathers in the war. They were orphans. And this area was to be dedicated to memorializing all parts of the war, both like you used to go to Gettysburg or Vicksburg, the whole history, so people could learn. And yet we're at a phase right now where we've set it up that if you're part of this remembrance of your ancestors, you are to be vilified. You are to be smeared with feces. You are to be written words on your marker that says revolt. And that to me is incredibly revolting. Also what's revolting to me is that our mayor and city council want to extend their terms past January so they can be around for the tricentennial, as opposed to letting the newly elected people of November take office in time and do that. So there's 2 petitions at SaveNolaHeritage.org which seek to correct both of these errors. One, which coincides with the League of Women Voters, lets those newly elected people take office in January so they can fix the budget, they can deal with the police issues, they can deal with all the other issues of New Orleans at the beginning of the fiscal year, as opposed to midway in June, which somehow the Senate of Louisiana opted to interfere with. And yet we hear from those same senators that they should not be interfering with the governance of Louisiana, and they don't want to vote for these bills. They want both sides. They want to interfere when they're pressured by those elected officials in New Orleans to do something that doesn't make sense, like let them stay an extra 4 months. But when the residents say, we want you to interfere, they back away, say, no, those are your duly elected people. So let's get what the League of Women Voters does and sign those petitions. But let's also stop this. Father Ryan spent 4 years of his life, which lived to be 52 years old. Spent 4 years when the war happened, taking care of people who were wounded, was giving last rites, serving those Confederate soldiers. Not because he was pro-slavery or he had some other agenda that was racism, because he committed his life to being a priest. And people died. 250,000 people died from the South. And I'm sure that if there was a Union soldier, he would talk to him and give him last rites. That is not the way we honor those people that give last rites to our ancestors. Take a moment. Memorial Day, sign the petition. It's got to be mailed in. It's going to take a little bit extra effort. This isn't something you do online. You're going to have to sign it and mail it in, or come to one of the places where you can sign up. And Sunday, we'll be at the Beauregard Monument at 3 o'clock. It's his 199th birthday, the day before Memorial Day. I'd appreciate if you stop by, pay your respects, and sign the petition. Thank you.